What is up, my ninjas? This is Strydent, and I am back with a review of the FIGMA Hattori Hanzo figure from Sengoku Taisen. This character is a character who's been around for a very long time. Many of us have seen him in many different forms. This figure, I didn't even know, up until, shortly after it released, I didn't even know he was, a thing, you know what I'm saying? But you might remember the name from Kill Bill. Sonny Chiba played Hattori Hanzo, and in Kill Bill's universe, he was a swordsmith. They kind of allude to him formerly being an assassin or a ninja or something like that. You may remember years before that, Sonny Chiba played Hattori Hanzo in several different, kind of low-budget Chambara films. I like a lot of them. He also played Jubei Yagyu in a couple films too, and I have those. The most recognizable version, I would say, would come from Samurai Showdown, or Samurai Spirits in Japan. I love this series. I love the art. I mean, it's instrumental in how I learned to draw, and I know it's very cartoony and stylized and shit, but later on it got more streamlined, and that's what I know of Hattori Hanzo. Loved his design, loved his crazy deep voice. He was really difficult to master, but he was a really cool character, very powerful. You might know him, and this is where I thought this figure came from, the freaking Samurai Warriors games. They're the Japanese themed, what do they call that? Dynasty Warriors games. But in actuality, he comes from an arcade game called Sengoku Taisen. And I really couldn't find that much on the game. This was one of the images. And there's really not that much else. I like the art. It's pretty dope. He is, a reworking of this figure, which is the Ninja Slayer from FIGMA. It was a must-get for me, but I missed out on several, different places where I could have gotten him from. There's a variant known as Satsbots. It's the same figure, but he's black, and he's made by a Fat Company or some shit like that. I was like, what? And whatever, it's one of the other options you have next to this guy from Ultimate Muscle or Kinnikuman. And I was trying to explain to everyone that there are options out there for better ninjas than what the icons were offering, and for a better price too. But this guy is pretty awesome. I love his look. I love the articulation. Surprisingly, I didn't think he was going to be as posable as he is. He is like very much a ninja when it comes to posability. You can do so much with him. And then just staring at him, you see all this detail and stuff. It's ridiculous. From the eyes being so deep set, but like perfectly peering out from, right underneath his little hoodie piece. It's just perfect. It's beautiful. So yeah, I'm gonna go through and, as usual, explain the good, the bad, and the ugly, if any ugly, and we'll see how we come out on the other side. So here we go. So looking at this guy, you can tell that he shares a lot of pieces that came from the first release, which was the FIGMA Ninja Slayer. There are a lot of cool, very simplistic details that figure brought to bear that were exploited, or I shouldn't say exploited, it's more like capitalized on in making this figure. His, the way his shoulders sit kind of deep in there. I mean, in this picture, I kind of have them low because I wanted you guys to see where they fit in, how much clearance you have. You can actually prop them up a little bit higher and they sit better and closer to the scarf and the necklace, but the beads. But and you'll see that throughout these pictures. I have it set properly. You know what I mean? Right here, it's just set back because I wanted, I want to show him kind of moving, but at the same time, I want you to see that it's a possibility. Everything is sculpted very, how do I put this? Very purposefully. There's nothing here that's haphazard in the sense that they found out that this was the case after the fact. Instead, things were sculpted in a way that 100% allows for very deliberate articulation and deliberate posability and deliberate awe when it comes to the sculpt. I mean, look at this pose. I mean, it's just simple, and everything fits where it's supposed to fit, even though you have a lot of clearance for various joints, especially the shoulder joints and the hip joints, surprisingly. They did a good job material-wise because no brittle plastic is used on this figure. Everything is pretty malleable, pretty, sturdy. And it's one thing that Figma has come up over the years with, because I have an older Figma, which I haven't reviewed yet. It's the Fate Harlorn, I think her name is, and it's the grown version with the coat hanging over her shoulders, and she has the crazy scythe and the hands that are all metallic and stuff like that. But the pegs were so shitty that I think 2 of the pegs broke right away. I'm talking like opening the package, and that was one of the Figmas that I got for very cheap. But like when you look at these joints, and starting from Saber 2.0, I haven't had any issues with my joints. No joints breaking, no fragility in the joints that you can't remove. Just none of the small, you see how there's ties hanging off of the armor, like the shoulder armor and on the wrist armor and such? None of that. It's not brittle. It's all pliable, malleable plastic that you can actually kind of move out the way. If it brushes against something, you don't have to worry about it falling off. It's just well fastened and doesn't really look or feel like it's going to break. And I love that, because it looks good on the figure and it looks deliberate. Now, the face sculpt is one of those things that I have to point out, because that's a thing of beauty. I mean, number one, you've got the cool character on his characters on his mask, and I don't know what it says. I think on the Ninja Slayer it actually says Ninja Slayer, but I don't know what it's saying on his. I have to research that one. It's been a long time since I even paid attention to Japanese, and there's certain things that, like, it seems as though they took their liberties with the shape of the different characters. But, I mean, those eyes, that's something that American companies struggle with so much. And the eyes peer out perfectly. I love the fact that they didn't paint a flesh tone on him, so he could be anyone. Even though, I mean, obviously they told you it's Hattori Hanzo. There's so many versions of Hanzo. I've never seen him wearing all red unless you chose that in Samurai Showdown. So this could be any ninja that you want it to be, but, I mean, he's a badass regardless, But just look at the face. The face is a thing of beauty because it works really well from multiple angles, and that's something that a lot of American sculptors just don't seem to pay attention to. The armor, it's very few places where he has full-on armor, but the armor all makes sense. The armor fits in a place, it fits the form of the figure, and it doesn't look shitty. It looks very, once again, deliberate, even for a reuse figures. And I'm not a fan of that sort of thing. I mean, this shoulder armor is even more awesome, with the plates and the paint on the little red pieces that are holding everything together. It's just so well done. All the armored bits. I mean, look at that. Masterfully done. And this is a mass-produced figure, there's so many little things that make this an awesome figure. And I mean, if you guys aren't convinced that this is well worth the money, as opposed to the other guys, I don't know what to tell you. But a lot of people were trying to use this as their hand, this guy and the Ninja Slayer. And I'm like, I know he's red, I know he's a ninja, but look at all this detail. The bento box, it's really nicely done. I mean, everything's spot on. I wish you could take that off, but you can't. But it kind of adds a little bit of character to him. The armor bits, the way the armor or chainmail, it works all throughout the character, and they didn't skimp on the paint as you move throughout the character. It's just, this is some beautiful stuff. The shin guards and knee pads with the demon on them. It just helps to show you that they were taking this seriously, and there's a certain sublime quality to this. Like, I think the last Figma that I reviewed was Mitsuhara Hazuki, and it's the same thing with her. there's a sublime kind of simplistic nature to the design, but it conveys so much, you know, in its simplicity, and I like that. It doesn't feel like so much of the action figures on the market today are kind of overblown. I mean, from Batman to Superman to, you know, so many others. It's like, damn, really? You had to put that much detail, that much texturing, that much everything, but the figure itself is not as playable. I mean, you could play with anything, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying the amount of things that you can do with the figure are so limited, and this is not the case. I mean, you've seen this. You dip his face a little deeper into his scarf, and you get a whole different look. He looks more mysterious, more menacing, more like, you know, shit's about to go down. And I love that. I love it. I love it. And he's well lit, and you still get shadows over his brow, you know, over his eyes from the brow piece. It just is a well done sculpt, complemented by amazing paint, complemented by amazing engineering, you know, and not to mention the accessories are good, but the engineering is the thing that sets it off, because that's how you get him to use all this stuff. And just getting him to use these things, it's just like, it's amazing. I mean, that's what it's all about. I really enjoyed figuring out ways for him to use his weapons and poses that I've seen in movies like this here. You see it in games, you see it in movies, you see it in comics all the time. And playing with him and actually posing him and having him assume these poses and pull off these moves cinematically, since I'm only giving you like one shot of each thing, you know, I was impressed at how well he holds things. You know, you position his hands and everything just like you would do it yourself. And I mean, what more could you ask for? That's awesome. Now, accessories is an area where Figmas are sometimes hit or miss. A lot of times they have a ton of accessories, and there might be ones that you want to use more and ones you want to use less. In this case, he's got a whole bunch of accessories that are very valid pieces to make this figure come to life. You've got word bubbles, you know, and dramatic bubbles, so that you can have that behind him and say something, you know, because a lot of times ninjas have some kind of fanfare. And I really don't know how much of it, some of the more colorful stuff looks like it's from the game. The Washoi looks like it's from the Ninja Slayer, and they just threw it in there because it's there. Of course, you have the trusty, tried and true hand tree. You've got an extra peg for the wrist, so that if the hands are switched too hard and you break one or something happens, you still got an extra peg. You've got the swords out of the sheath, in the sheath, and the removable handle and hilt. You've got the giant magical shuriken, a Fu shuriken, and you've got the spear. I really dig the look of the Fu shuriken. It's pretty, the Fuma shuriken. I always forget. I love the look of it, and the spear is pretty nice too. It's authentic. Our master had one just like this, except he had one that was, I guess, more commonly used for Hapkido. The sword, I wish that they just had the sword and the sheath. I think it's kind of stupid to have the handle with the hilt and no blade. And I get what they're going for, but, you know, I want my stuff to work together. You get an additional tattered scarf, which is pretty dope, because what if you want your guy to be more Ronin, you know what I mean? More vagabondish. It works perfectly. You, of course, have the Figma stand. This one has an additional arm for the bubble pieces, and you know, the word bubbles and such. And it also, you could use it for the Fuma shuriken. And then, of course, you have the figure, which is pretty nice. It's a pretty beautiful figure. They did so many things with the costume, as I said, in the sculpt and paint area, that, you know, you just can't really, I don't know, it's too good. It's way too good. The peg, though, I have to stress the peg. Not stress the peg, but I have to stress how important the peg is. I just watched a video from Toy Galaxy where he bought the what is it, Marvel Select, Diamond Select, Ghostbusters, Winston, and when he was switching the hands, the peg broke off. I don't know how many times in American figures you get that. And so this company takes it, you know, they take the time out to give you an extra peg so that you don't suffer the same fate, because it is possible. But you can see the way it's engineered, it's a smaller peg on both ends, so it's less of a peg for you to break. Now, if you break it, I mean, you're going to have a harder time getting that piece out. I mean, a lot of times you just heat the limb or heat the hand and it will pop out, you know, easily. But, you know, it's engineered as such so you don't have as many issues, which is awesome. That's the way you do this thing. Also, you have the tried and true FIGMA baggie so that you can store all your stuff, which is the way to do it. You store all your stuff in the bag, put all the bags in a big ass Tupperware, you know, I always say Tupperware, Rubbermaid package, and you're all set. On a Foom Shuriken, it's pretty dope, nice colors. You can tell it's an attack. It's like a special attack from the game, you know, and it looks really good, provided you get it at the perfect angle, which here I got a little bit of a reflection. I mean, I got it here too, but I mean, that can work too. If I light it the right way, you wouldn't even see the edges, you know? You would only see the colors. So I think if it's like bottom lit and lit off, you know, from an angle, it would be really dope and you would get like an even better effect from it. So, you know, this is one that I haven't really, you know, I just did this for the sake of the video so you guys can see it in motion, see it in use. The spear, it's a beautiful spear. It's very simplistic. And this is what I'm talking about when I say that this figure has a very sublime nature to it. Very simplistic, very well painted. It's not sloppy in any way, shape, or form. Everything is just, it just works. It works for the whole. It feels accurate. And it is pretty accurate. You know, I've seen spears. I know how to use one. Yeah, it's pretty accurate. Both ends have, you know, protrusions. You know, one side has the spear head, the other side has its other piece. I never saw that on the end of the spears that we had. We always had like a flat or rounded off other end. But like I said, it's beautiful. The fact that they were able to put so many little details that you have to literally get up on this thing to see and you know, appreciate, you gotta appreciate that sort of thing. It's why we get these guys. The fact that the finish, it's like a semi-gloss finish. It kind of feels, or it definitely feels like what staffs and spears feel like, you know? Now the scarf. The scarf is awesome because not only is it a tattered scarf, it's got that curve to it. So it feels like it's a windswept, like motion, following, you know, his motion, like an action scarf, I guess is what I'm trying to get into. And if you know, turn it, it sits on a FIGMA joint, so you can twist it, you can turn it, you can bend it, and it will kind of work with his motion, as you'll see in so many of these images. So, you know, I got to give him props for this. He's just altogether a well done figure, and there's nothing really more to say about that. You know, the accessories work really well with the figure. The figure itself is just well done. It's awesome. Okay, so articulation. As usual, we're going to start with the head. Can move side to side, no problem. Up and down a great deal, but nothing is really hindered, even with the scarf and the necklace in the way. And as usual with FIGMAs, if you combine the neck joint with movement of the upper torso, you can make him look up even further. You can even get side to side tilt. It's crazy, you know, moments. Arms go up this far. They have a lot of shoulder rotation joint, and you see that there's a space kind of carved out for all that movement. You have a you don't have a bicep swivel, but you have the elbow. You got the up and down, back and forth hand joint along with the twist, and the arm itself kind of rotates at the shoulder, more the way that our arms really work, which is pretty awesome. I'm all about anatomically correct joints. Now you got some side-to-side action with the diaphragm, the upper diaphragm joint, and they all kind of work together, so sometimes you can get more. That's how far you can move forward. Want to straighten them up a little bit more. That's him leaning back all the way. You got so much clearance. You can get a little. You can twist and pull him forward because one of the two sets of joints will allow you to get the forward, and the other one will allow you to get the twist. Twist at the waist, which is wondrous. The pelvis is made of a rubbery material, so moving the legs up is real easy. And you can get them up pretty high. So those kicks and twists in the waist, it all works really well. There's a bend at the knee. Actually, there's swivel at the thigh, if anatomically correct. And you got the bend at the knee, point at the foot. There's a twist also at the knee. I meant to say that earlier. You got the toe joint. You got the point. You got the twist. You can actually pull the toes back, point it out perfectly. And that's the majority of his articulation. He also has the pivot, ankle pivot, which is pretty good. So yeah, this guy can do everything you would ever want a ninja to do, and look thorough doing. So yeah, there's his articulation. I'm impressed. I shouldn't be, but I still am. It's just really well done. It always amazes me when a figure is so well done that you just play and you don't think about possible shortcomings. You know what I mean? And that's the way it should be. Just fun. You shouldn't worry about anything else. So the bottom line with this guy is, if you want a ninja and you don't want to pay an arm and a leg for him, this is probably the one for you. I got him as a Christmas gift from Agent O. We did a gift swap, kinda. And this dude was on sale. I actually got two things for the price of the one thing that I got him. But yeah, it was a worthy Christmas gift. I wanted to get him, and then he showed up on sale for $20. So that's even cheaper than the ninja that those other guys are trying to force feed you guys. And as I showed you in the beginning, there are other options as well. Any of them would work really well. I think they're too good for you to relegate them to the background to be, hand ninjas or something like that. I think that's lame. You stick with Hasbro's cheap ass corny red ninjas, and you can do that. But these Figma ninjas, they're really well done. Even SH figure ones. How would it make sense for you to have enemies that are better figures than the hero that's fighting them? Like, to me, that makes no sense, just based on the price alone. A Daredevil figure is not expensive, but these guys are. It's because of how well they're put together and how well they do everything that they do. So if I were you guys, I would be all over this guy. I mean, you can find him for cheap now because he's so obscure. I'm pretty sure a lot of sites have tons of this guy laying around. The same goes for the Ninja Slayer. I don't know about Sotspots because he was an exclusive, so I'm assuming that figure is a little harder to find. But I really dig everything about this figure. The color scheme is dope, accessories are dope, the articulation is dope. Just the fun factor is dope. The little word things that are in the background that come from some kind of game. Perfect. I don't have any issues with it. Even the fact that he is mostly reused parts from the Ninja Slayer, I don't have a problem with it. I love it. I'm still gonna go get the Ninja Slayer. So I think this is a win. It's a total win. If you somehow don't see it fit to get this figure, I don't know what to tell you. You either don't like good, well done figures, or you just don't know. You just don't understand. You know what I mean? There's nothing else for me to say in that respect. This guy looks like something, if Kane Kosogi was really following his dad's footsteps, we would have had a show with him dressed up like something like this. That's what I always imagine, Young Hattori Hanzo. But any way you slice it, this figure is quality. I play with them all the time. Since I got them, it's just been, non-stop thing. Actually, there's like a big chunk of guys that I got around Christmas time. They're just all like, they always call out, and I'm always playing with them, and I'm always posing them, and I can't put them down long enough. I always end up picking them back up and playing with them some more. So I think if I'm feeling like this, you know, I'm pretty sure you guys will feel the same way. I mean, I was kind of feeling as if I was the only one when it came to the icons, when it, you know, what the specific things I was saying. And I know that if I feel that way about them, I can't be the only one, you know what I mean? And this, I feel the same way, even more so. Even though I've seen people, you know, kind of relegate this guy to the background because he's a ninja and they just wanted a generic ass ninja, and this is not a generic ninja. So this has been my review of the FIGMA Hattori Hanzo from, what is it, Sengoku Taisen? Yeah, I think that's what it is. And that is what it is. And this is my story, and I'm sticking to it. I love the figure. Perfect price, perfect package of everything. I think, you know, as much as I dig it, you guys will dig it too. So if you see him, get him. You will be happy. You will enjoy. And that's all I got to say. So peace outside.